coming to power in 2010, the UK's Tory-led coalition government has been carrying out devastating cuts to vital benefits and services in the name of austerity.
The threat to cut housing benefit from people who are deemed to be over-occupied is an absolute scandal. It's causing worry and upset. One woman has committed suicide, actually, because she couldn't afford to pay the bedroom tax. And imagine if you're a disabled person, you have an extra bedroom that your carer lives in or your equipment is being held in, but this government is saying that that's no longer acceptable.
Now, under him, we're a country of food banks and bank bonuses, a country of tax cuts for millionaires while millions are paying more. Isn't his biggest broken promise of all that we're all in it together?
Says the so-called bedroom tax is leading to a surge in rent arrears and more empty homes. Our correspondent Michael Buchanan reports.
Against the bedroom tax.
It's £7 a room, isn't it?
It's a tax on poor people.
The whole system is skewed towards the wealthy.
You're paying enough as it is.
Stop on the street! Come on! Where are you? Come on, Mr. Stevenson, come out and speak to us! We want to talk to you because you're a coward! You'll not come out! You're hiding in there!
The bedroom tax is causing real chaos, doing real damage to people's lives, stopping us use the housing in the way that we need to use it, and saving no money for anyone anywhere.
Now let's just bring you some breaking news from the Court of Appeal. We're hearing that a victim of domestic violence and the grandparents of a severely disabled teenager have just in the past few moments won Court of Appeal challenges over the lawfulness of the so-called bedroom tax.
No matter what's on special offer in the grocery stores, eating well is still a luxury for increasing numbers of British families. Low wages and slashed welfare mean food banks, or even theft indeed, to keep their children fed.
The number of food banks in the UK are growing at an alarming rate.
Currently growing a new food bank project somewhere in the UK every 3 days, which I think demonstrates, the scale of what we are dealing with, and we're still probably only touching the tip of the iceberg.
We are seeing a lot more families telling us that they have to make this difficult choice between things like eating and heating, putting food on the table or paying the bills.
People queuing up out there for food on a Sunday. They've come, and some of them may have come from many distances. So if we have our last half-year figures, 500,000, of which a high proportion of those are children, and the last full year, 1 million people. And I'm a volunteer in 2 food banks. I see people across the spectrum coming in daily who are asking for food. This is not stopping.
In the UK, a document described by some as a snooper's charter will be given another push by the government after the Intelligence and Security Committee said the proposal lacked detail. The bill is designed to help authorities track online activity of citizens and retrieve personal web data.
The area of concern surrounds this, the draft communications data bill, and proposals in it that critics say could see the public left wide open to having their Facebook accounts, their Twitter, their emails read, anything that they visit online, the websites that they go to, logged by the government. Now, understandably, those plans have proven hugely controversial, with critics labelling it the Snoopers' Charter.
Well, if you don't want your emails probed and you're not engaged in any kind of illegal activity, your emails won't be probed. If you want complete privacy, don't write any letters to your friends, don't speak to them on the telephone, and don't send them photographs of yourself in jockey underpants.
The Snoopers' Charter is back. David Cameron says he will introduce the controversial surveillance legislation should the Conservatives win the next election. The proposed law has already been blocked by the Liberal Democrats once. It would allow security services a free rein to access your telephone, internet and email records.
Well, what does this so-called Snoopers' Charter really consist of? Well, it requires web and phone companies to store records of websites visited by every citizen for the past 12 months. It also makes explicit in law, for the first time, powers for the bulk collection of personal communications data.
Debt is going up.
Yes,
not many people realise that. Debt is going up, not set to peak until 2018.
Well, when you inherit a record deficit,
Debt was always going to increase. What we have done is brought the deficit down, which is the year-on-year number.
You're going to double the debt.
Yeah, but as I
You're
say...
going to double the debt. How can you say that's a credible plan?
I think we're having an entirely false debate. David Cameron is conning the British public into thinking that he's actually really cutting back the levels of debt in our country, and it's not true.
What planet are we all on? Does nobody realise that this government that claims to be prudent, far from being, vicious, cutting, nasty, they've doubled the national debt in the space of 5 years?
It may seem that Atos, the French IT company that decides whether disabled people are entitled to their benefits or not, are miracle workers. They can cure your handicap by simply saying you're okay. That might be because they work to a quota system set by Ian Duncan Smith's Department of Work and Pensions.
And I found out that Atos is not really a medical examination. They're not doctors they're examining. And what's more, in the case that I put before Parliament, the man had got elastic bandages on his legs. They never even looked at them. They merely asked him whether he could walk across the room, whether he could pick up a pencil, and simple sedentary things like that. And the net result was that they claimed that he was fit for work.
They call us deficit deniers, but then they spend billions cutting taxes for the richest families and for the most profitable businesses. Why, what they are is poverty deniers. They're ignoring the growing queues at food banks. They're ignoring the housing crisis. They're cutting tax credits when child poverty rose by 500,000 under the last government to over 4 million. Let's be clear. Austerity is actually a political choice that this government has taken, and they're imposing it on the most vulnerable and poorest in our society.
I voted Conservatives originally because I thought you were going to be the better chance for me and my children. You're about to cut tax credits after promising you wouldn't. I work bloody hard for my money to provide for my children, to give them everything they've got, and you're going to take it away from me and them. I can hardly afford the rent I have to pay. I can hardly afford the bills I've got to do, and you're going to take more from me.
All right.
Shame on you!
The Tories
now
know
you've
this.
got to it. Now you understand more clearly. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And it's been successful.
Absolutely, from their point of view, they want people off the benefit system so that they can claim that they're conquering this evil, when really what should be happening is people should be tested medically like they used to be.